Welcome to the age of SaaS, where churn, lifetime value, and cost to acquire are top of mind, and acronyms like MRR, ARR, and ACV are being tossed around like a beach ball at a concert. So how do SaaS leaders motivate, measure, and maintain momentum? We're picking them up on their way to SaaS North and asking them the questions you want to know in Leaders in Lyfts Getting Lattes.
All right, so hello everybody. We're back in Kareem's Lyft again. Thank you to Lyft, of course, and to Klipfolio and Stratford managers for helping us put this series together. And I've got special guest Wes Bush with me today. So we're going to get into what he's been doing and a bunch of questions and chit chat with him. So welcome, Wes.
Thanks for having me in your office.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you're up for a few days and then you're back home?
Yeah, heading back tomorrow.
You're one of the few that doesn't have to rush back for American Thanksgiving.
Yes, although I am celebrating it.
You are?
I am.
Well, so how's that?
So I'm a dual citizen.
Oh, no kidding.
So it's an excuse. But I missed the Canadian Thanksgiving, so I was on the road for travel. So I'm like, I can't miss this one.
So are you actually traveling this weekend as well? Or this, later on this week?
They're all in Canada. So
okay.
It's
okay.
yeah.
So everybody moved from the States up to Canada?
Nope, not the grandparents.
No, not
They
not
like
there.
the hot weather. I can't blame them. I'm the same.
I can't blame them either, for sure. So you know what? Why don't we start a little bit about what it is you do, because you've got a few things on the go.
Yeah,
why don't you tell us, just give a little bit of an elevator pitch on what it is you do, and then we'll get into some of the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the author of Product-Led Growth, and my whole mission is really just to help people learn that your product is the most powerful thing in your entire business. And I feel like most people just don't realize that, in terms of, like, you could use your product as the most important lead magnet from like a marketing perspective. You could use it to qualify everyone who comes into your product to try it out from a sales perspective. And there's so many things you can use for your product that it just gets me so excited that a lot of people don't realize it.
So how did you get into this space? Because you're obviously passionate about it.
Yeah.
Your book just dropped, and let's talk about that later on as well.
Yeah.
But how did you get into the space? Because it's definitely a passion of mine too. But
yeah,
how does this happen?
Yeah. So
what's your background?
Yeah, the first kind of job I had that was kind of official in marketing was I was helping my parents. They both had a real estate business, and so it was through Google AdWords. I got to try that out. Mm-hmm. And then I saw, I generated some leads, and they turned into customers, and I was hooked.
Yep.
I got so excited because I'm like, I generated demand. This is amazing. And I was just hooked from demand on that point.
That's pretty cool you mentioned that. I remember the very first time that there was some kind of a value loop that I experienced. The first time that somebody bought our product, or the first time that, I was able to get somebody to call in and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's humbling and addictive.
Yeah, it is very addictive. Yeah. And so after that, I just did binged everything on marketing and inbound marketing, as well as just demand generation. And so from that point on, I was doing all digital marketing, demand gen for B2B SaaS companies. And then it wasn't until I was at Vidyard, we launched a freemium product called Go Video, and it got to over 100,000 users very quickly, that I started to clue in that, wait a minute, the way we buy products has changed. It's not so much here's our lead magnet, which is all the white papers, and at the end of the white paper, sign up for the demo. It's no, it's really just about, okay, the best lead magnet is your product.
Totally. The thing that actually has value.
Exactly.
Right?
And so I came into it not knowing really, okay, how does this whole system work? We just launched a freemium product. We didn't know how to convert those users. And so that was really me just applying all of my marketing knowledge to conversion rate optimization for the product, that I fell into it and figured out, wait a minute, there's so much low-hanging fruit, and some of the quick wins you could do in that product to just see those users turn into paying customers. You can see massive gains without doing much work. And that just got me so excited.
And so what do you think helps people, because there definitely is a trend, right? We chatted about this earlier as well on your podcast. There used to be the sales-led, and you had outbound sales teams, you had FAEs, you had sort of, longer sales cycles. and then things would be kind of thrown over the wall to product.
Yep.
Right? And then that sort of gave way, to more of the marketing first approach, right?
Yeah.
And you had, certain vendors like Marketo and HubSpot, start gaining momentum. Sure. And then that sort of is giving way to product-led, right?
Yeah.
So, like, why is this happening? What are people realizing? Is it SaaS? Is it cloud?
Yeah. So if you look at like product-led growth, like it's an emerging trend and it's coming up, much like inbound marketing, growth hacking. Everyone can say, okay, yes, we see this coming more and more, but why? Most people don't know why it's happening. And so I look at two concerning factors in SaaS that most people don't think about. The first one is
I know I could have thrown you into put you in an awkward, because maybe you don't know either, right?
No. I've thought a lot about it.
Okay, good.
So the first one is like willingness to pay for products. It has gone down 30% in the last 5 years. So that means, okay, they just don't want to pay as much for your software.
Right.
And then on the other hand, you have the rising customer acquisition cost has gone up 50% in the last 5 years. So if you're, good at math, you realize that, okay, if you're not you're doing anything different, your margins just took a huge slash in the last 5 years. And so what you have to do is let innovate or die. And so a lot of companies have this sales-led process. And so what they're really thinking about is, okay, we are either going to lose market share because people are just buying other products that are more affordable, or we got to figure out how can we get this product into someone's hands without spending a small fortune.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, along with those changes in technology or the go-to-market, you're right, CAC has been forced down and down and down. And just the competitive pressure as well. People don't want to pay that much for software, but maybe it's also because there's just so much available options out there, right?
And like Hacker Noon wrote this one article that basically stated, like, you could, and they actually showed you can build a SaaS business, start one for $0. Totally. And it's just like the barrier to entry is low.
It really is unreal, right? I mean, every single space has seen a massive increase in competitors. So let's talk about the popularization of product-led. And I mean, you've written a book about it. You've got a conference, an online conference that is really successful. But there's a lot of other players that are jumping on this bandwagon as well.
For sure.
I think OpenView just had their summit. So, is this something that's going to sort of ebb and flow, or do you think that there's real lasting power here?
I think there's real lasting power, because if you look at those trends, it's like, do people want to try products? I mean, this has been something that's always been around. It's like, it's just harder to do it in software. If we look at buying a t-shirt, like we like to try those things on before we buy them, or cologne or perfume. Like, you don't want to just try something and buy it. Maybe if it's $5, you don't care too much, but if it's, $100, you're going to think twice. And so it's just how we want to buy. And so that's really why I decided, like, let's double down on product-led growth, because there's some buying trends here that are just not ever going to change.
But it does seem like we've moved into another phase of product-led. It used to be something that was kind of new and nobody understood it. And now a lot of people are really talking about it. So I think we've almost like SaaS, like at the beginning of the SaaS trend. I remember the first year that SaaStr happened, right? I remember the first year that SaaS North happened. People were still trying to figure it out and make sense of it, right? And it feels like product-led is maybe a little earlier than that, but we're now getting into a more mature phase of let's really understand it and how can we optimize.
Absolutely.
So, and how does that translate to your conference?
So what that really translates to is just, okay, now that people know the basics, it's like we don't have to spend as much time on that. We have to go deeper. And so the whole purpose of the Product-Led Summit is really, I want to find the best SaaS operators who are actually doing the work and really understand product-led growth to a high degree and are doing it so they can share it. Exactly. Like, here is the strategies, the tactics they're using, and here's how we're doing it. Like, even when you're sharing your process of
so
like...
was this year one, or was it year two of your conference?
So that was year one. We did 2 conferences.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a ton of people registered. So, I mean, congrats on that.
Thanks.
So what have you got planned next for the conference? Is this something that you're going to continue doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's one of those things where, kind of like what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
like if you want to learn about someone or anything, or a topic you're interested in, it's like you just need to talk to them or learn from them. And so I find conferences are such a great way for that, where I watch every single talk from the own product-led summit. That's one thing, quality testing. Second, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And so I really try and find the most interesting people who are experts on the topic.
This was an online conference, and this is the place where you plug it a bit, but what did you learn? How many people did you have? What are the vanity metrics that you can share? How successful was it?
Yeah, so in terms of the event itself, what I've seen is there's just tons of people who are signing up for it. But what I'm really looking for is, my whole metric is, are you referring this to a coworker?
Right. So kind of the NPS score.
That's my NPS, and that's the only metric I really care about is is this good enough to share with a coworker? And so, the first year it was 52%, and it's gone all the way up to 67%. So I'm just trying to keep pushing that as high as I can, so that I make something that's actually worthwhile to share with someone. And I think if you look at even just attendees, the higher you focus on that first coworker, someone else who can share it, that means it's valuable enough. They're not just going to share crap to someone.
Yeah, no, of course. They're putting their reputation
exactly.
on the line. And you'd consider this first year of doing this, it was a success?
Absolutely.
Would you do things differently for anybody that's interested in doing an online conference?
I think for anyone that's doing an online conference, you really got to think about, who are you going to be partnering with on this? Because, in any business, you can do things alone or you can partner and have much bigger impact.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It almost feels like that is maybe the next big wave. It's not product-led, it's platform-led.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you've heard it here now. Platform-led. This is the next thing.
I'll watch out for it.
Sounds good. Tell me about your book.
Yes.
So it dropped this summer, right?
This May, actually.
This May.
Just before summer.
I'm actually hearing a lot about it.
Good things, bad things?
Yeah, good things, right? Maybe it's all from you, I don't know. But tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so writing the book was, it took me over 7 months.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I wrote that is I just want to learn a lot more about product-led growth.
Yeah.
So if you want to understand any topic to a high degree, write a book about it.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's one of the easiest ways you can ever do it, because I was doing a lot of this stuff around product-led growth already, whether it was with consulting or anything else.
Yeah.
And so I had these concepts in my head, but it wasn't boiled down.
Yep.
And so I find writing is just the best way to clarify anything. And so that's my method. Some people have videos or some other way they can boil their thoughts down, but mine's writing, and I love it.
And tell me, the whole ecosystem is now, you're setting up a brand that is, it's Westbush, it's product-led, you've got the book, you've got the conference.
Yeah.
Is this what your future, your vision looks like?
Absolutely. I'm playing the long game. I see myself doing this for the next decade, and I have so many other different fun things I want to do that are in the product-led space. And so this is just the start.
All right, so just before we end, so everybody listening to this is going to be SaaS founders, CEOs, product folks. Give me some advice. What are the things that you either should totally be doing as a product first philosophy, or things that you see that people are just doing wrong?
I think if you're trying to answer what are you doing wrong, I think a lot of people are thinking, there's this whole notion around sales.
Right.
What do I do with sales? Because we've all heard bad things about sales-led growth, how it's really expensive.
Right.
But in a product-led company, sales can still have a role. But
huge. It just, I don't know, you finish the thought.
I think anyone has to ask themselves this one question. Is this salesperson adding value, or are they adding friction?
Right.
And so in a product-led business, you need to ask yourself that question, because some people, even if they have a free trial freemium model, they will make people reach out to buy the product.
Right.
And it's like, well, why? You're adding tons of friction there. That's not necessary. Just have the upgrade button and have the pricing plan. It's easy. But And a lot of people just add that friction there.
Well, and I mean, you lower your CAC, right? And I think there's a whole suite of buyer personas that really, they want to do things in the app, right? And that's how they build a trusting relationship, right? As opposed to speaking to somebody. There's a whole another group that actually wants to have some hand-holding, right? So are they adding value? For sure.
Definitely. And so I think for anyone that is trying to adopt product-led growth and really just hone in on helping people, what you have to do is just really understand, like, what do people want to accomplish in your product?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the first thing. And what I would recommend, if anyone doesn't know the answer to that question, is just as soon as someone signs up, ask them, what are you hoping to accomplish in this product? It sounds simple, but most people don't do it. And by doing so, you get hundreds of responses fairly quickly, and you can start to learn, like, okay, this is what we have to promise them and deliver in the product, because a great product-led business does one thing. So we make a promise and we deliver on it as soon as we can.
Isn't time to value a critical element?
Time to value is one of the most.
There's this. Have you seen this blog about the survey that Superhuman was running?
No.
I'll have to share it with you, but they've just written a blog about how they are really trying to answer those early questions about, hey, is there product market fit here? You know, and they ask a simple question, you know, if this product disappeared, you know, again, almost kind of an NPS style question, but how much pain would that give you, right? So really trying to understand that and what journey is valued. So totally. Awesome. All right, Wes, I really appreciate it. This has been fantastic.
Thanks for having me in your office.